Nice. It looks like we're live. What's going on, guys? My name's Robbie. I run the Rollup today here with Eric from DoraHacks. Eric, what's going on, man? It's good to chat today. I think we're going to be talking about decentralized governance and public goods funding. A couple of things that we've definitely found ourselves kind of in the center of at the Rollup. We think of ourselves as a public good for education. We've been creating content and podcasts and educational content in the space for going back about 4 or 5 years now. So yeah, this is definitely something that is very near and dear to our heart. You guys are doing lots of public goods funding at DoraHacks. So yeah, maybe feel free to give us a little bit of an intro on DoraHacks for anyone who is unfamiliar.
Thank you, Robbie. It's good to be here. Good to meet you. And hey, everyone. I'm Eric from DoraHacks. So today we'll be talking about decentralized governance, but actually everything started with DoraHacks. And some from you like probably have already known that DoraHacks has already been there for 10 years, and in the first place, DoraHacks was a very small hackathon community, but with a different thesis than most of the other hackathon communities around 10 years ago. We felt that we really needed to build a community that is centered around hackers and hackathons and creativity. So instead of like helping everyone just find a job, we really wanted to encourage everyone just to build up new products. We have been developing the platform called DoraHacks.io, and the platform is able to enable to integrate with a lot of the interesting mechanisms in decentralized governance. Obviously, very relevant to the Web3 communities. I think that's where we started to build decentralized governance tools.
I think that's a great place to start. You guys have been around for quite a while. And this is something that I think is going to increasingly become more and more important because what I've seen is that blockchain and the incentives that we have on chain, including decentralized governance and public goods funding, are super critical for open source technology. The open source movement is something that continues to proliferate. We see a lot of it happening on chain, and these projects need to be maintained. The best way to do that is through funding or some sort of decentralized issuance like a token. Okay, so at Dora, you guys are currently going through this round of economic zone quadratic grant. This is the Atomic Economic Zone Quadratic Grant. And then you guys have developed on-chain voting system, and you're implementing this as part of that grant. So maybe you could kind of give us like, what is this grant for? Who can participate? And then how do people get involved with this voting system to both reap the rewards of this grant and then also participate in voting?
Yeah. Thanks for this question, though. The short answer is that the Atom Economic Zone public goods are very important. It's very important to Cosmos SDK. It's very important to the Cosmos builders, and it's also very important to the entire AppChain ecosystem. So DoraHacks as the platform to host open source developers and hackathons, we have been a supporter of the AppChain ecosystem for a very long time. So over the past year, I think we have been seeing the rise of AppChains. So the rationale behind the AppChain thesis is actually very simple. The application builders they want sovereign. Everyone wants freedom. So AppChains allow you to control your own token. You have your own community. You have your own culture. You have your own infrastructure, and you have. So you will be able to select your own validator set, and you can basically innovate on the most fundamental and basic level. So something I always like to say is that the Action thesis is a freedom thesis, and the Cosmos SDK is obviously the most fundamental building block for every or almost every app chain. So funding public goods in the AEZ is almost equivalent to funding the future of app chain infrastructures, as well as funding the future of app chains. So something we feel really imperative to do. So DoraHacks already had the platform. We have the community. We were already building a lot of tools on top of the platform. So so open source funding was just one of the mandates on the DoraHacks platform. So last year we started to think about how we could actually help with the public good funding process for the entire app chain ecosystem. So we started with the AEZ quadratic grant, because through AEZ we will be able to fund a lot of the infrastructures and communities that are very important to the future of Cosmos SDK, but also to the future of the app chain thesis. So I think there are two parts of the infrastructures we're building. One big element is the user experience of community funding and community voting, right? So we really wanted to engage the community, but we need very good user experience. So what you can see on the DoraHacks platform is probably I would say one of the most advanced front-end system in public good funding. It coordinates all the state machines on-chain and off-chain, and provide users with a very convenient and simple interface. But also, what's important is on the back end, there is public good staking developed by Dora Factory. So probably many people know about Dora Factory developing the infrastructure called public good staking. So through the infrastructure, we use block native incentives to fund the open source developer community. So the Cosmos Hub public good validator was one of our very first public good staking validators, and we spun up it around March 2023. And 9 months after that, the validator generated enough rewards to us to start the first AZ round, which happened around January, February of this year. So that was like $50,000. So that way we were able to fund around 10 very interesting public good projects. But still, it was not enough to become truly sustainable. But then there came the governance proposal 917, which we got overwhelming support from the whole community. We were really grateful and thankful. And that proposal passed. Then through DoraHacks, we will be distributing public good funding through quadratic voting and Macy voting for a period of 24 months. So that like the approval of that proposal really paved the way and also bridged the gap between now and the future, where we really want to make sure that the public good validator can be sustainable funding source. But the proposal is very important, because now we are able to continuously funding public goods in the ecosystem for a consecutive period of 24 months. So that gives a lot of certainty to the builders. That also help us build better systems and infrastructures for public good funding. Yeah, so that's where the AEZ quadratic grant came from and where it is going.
Awesome. Yeah, that is something that I think is very commendable. It's impressive that you guys have been able to, build this from scratch. It's a community-driven project, and you guys are epitomizing like what it means to be a DAO, like a decentralized autonomous organization, because you have voting, you have governance, and you're able to fund these public goods programs for the sake of Cosmos overall. And so I think this is like a very neat closed loop where you're able to have like this regenerative business model, where you're able to generate some income from the infrastructure that you guys have built, and then this is able to fund these public goods projects, and then encourages like the sustainability and the longevity of Cosmos, meaning that again your validator and your infrastructure is going to end up generating more revenue. You can use that revenue to again fund more projects, and then you have this virtuous positive feedback loop that continues to feed itself and grow. And so this is really, really cool. But let's dig into like some more of how it works. Maybe before we do that, everyone sees like the AEZ DoraHacks.io/AEZ. This is where someone can learn more and apply to the program. We were recipients of one of these public funding grant rounds for doing some educational content on Cosmos. So very grateful for that at the Rollup, and encourage more projects to get involved. Go to DoraHacks.io/AEZ to learn more and apply. And so let's talk more about how it works. You mentioned the quadratic funding. This is kind of like the idea where we can reduce like whale influence. We can also reduce the amount of Sybil voters, and it has some mechanisms that are somewhat spam resistant. And then you also mentioned Macy voting. So I'd like to kind of define what each of those concepts are, and then talk about why you use them for the AEZ funding.
Right. Yeah. So these are the like two go to voting mechanism we have so far. I was thinking Web3 and decentralized communities. So probably I will just go through each of them. Macy was originally conceived in a blog post from Vitalik in the Ethereum research forum, and like that was like several years ago. So it's a very simple and very straightforward way to build anti-collusion infrastructure, not only for voting, but voting is definitely a big part of it. So basically what the infrastructure does is that it has an operator. So imagine that you have a voting round and there is an operator for this round. So the operator publishes her public key, and everyone could use it to encrypt the messages. So in voting, that would be votes, but you can also think about like other things. So all the messages encrypted, it will be posted on chain. After the round finishes, the operator tallies the votes and posts the result with zero knowledge proof. So in that way, the operator will be able to verify that. So what I'm posting is true without revealing the details, like what everyone actually voted for. So therefore, the votes are anonymous. It's privacy preserving. So the reason why we are very keen to develop the best Macy infrastructure almost for 3 years, and also the interfaces for Macy and make it very useful and easy to use, is that it helps scale decentralized governance. Because there are many problems. So like if you're in a decentralized setting, collusion is very important problem, and everyone is just scattered around. So you want to make sure that you avoid several important problems that includes privacy and collusion. Obviously, there is a civil element of it, but Macy doesn't have it because Macy has a sign-up process where you have better control on the civil part, but what we really want to address here is privacy and collusion resistance. Yeah, so that matters a lot to the scaling of decentralized governance, and it helps scale public good funding as well. For example, the AEZ Macy round in a way enabled the direct democracy within the Cosmos Hub staking community. So in round 2, we registered all 1.04 million staking addresses. I won't say that's like 1.04 million people, but that will be a very big number of stakers from the ecosystem. So everyone had been assigned voice credits, and they were able to use their voice credits to directly vote for the public goods in the Macy round. And actually, we saw thousands of people actually voted for their favorite public goods. So that's one of the examples of the ability to scale decentralized governance if we use Macy. Yeah. So on the other hand, we're also interested in quadratic voting and quadratic funding. So I would emphasize more on quadratic voting because that's something that is ultimately important, and there is something called preference expressiveness in our democratic process. So we always want to increase it because the more preference expressiveness we have it, the more diverse you'll have in terms of options. So in the real world, I would say many countries right now suffer from spoiler effect, right? And you end up having very limited options, and you have to align with one of the two probably less preferred options. But in quadratic voting, you assign voice credits, and you can spend your voice credits on multiple candidates or options, or in our case, open source projects. You can express your preference across multiple options. That's exactly what we want, and it's super interesting that we applied it in open source communities before we have it in the real world. So quadratic funding, on the other hand, had evolved a lot from the original form, which had a lot of the problems in practice. But the essence of quadratic funding is quadratic voting, except you can directly contribute to the project you like and complete the vote at the same time. But the underlying mechanism is still quadratic voting.
This is basically like blockchain taxes. It's like we participate in these ecosystems. We're almost able to, and you hear a lot about like these on-chain network states a lot these days, and you can even have like on-chain economies, but there isn't really this idea of like on-chain taxes until you think about public goods, and you're like, well, we need like some public good infrastructure for all of these on-chain economies to work efficiently, work well, and continue to create value. And so, we have almost this like social, like collective idea of funding these, and you can fund the ones that you like. That's one of the things that, with like regular like nation state taxes, you just send it. You have no idea where it goes or how it gets put into the economy. But with blockchain, everything is on chain, everything's verifiable. I can commit my taxes to the projects that I like, and I can fund the projects that I want to continue to see, rather than, like the administration that is very far away uses my tax dollars in some way that I have no idea if they're being spent well on the things that I like, the things that I support. But we have much, much more control over what we use as funding in these public goods programs that are on chain, which I think that will make these programs and on-chain economies run more efficiently than like a national nation state economy. And it's still very early for these things to play out. And so there's a lot more that is coming. And I think that this is a very promising area as it continues to get research and development. So I'm curious from your perspective, kind of overseeing, some of these grant programs, what are some of the things that you're most excited about that are, currently getting through the grant rounds, and things that you'd like to see, like, built out even further in the decentralized governance and public goods funding space?
Yeah, I think there are a lot of super fun things to do, and definitely not just limited to public funding. Though it's a very important area, but the decentralized governance is I would say very very essential to all the decentralized communities, because if you have efficient decentralized governance, you have more efficient spending, you have more efficient building. So it's really at the center place of our decentralized communities, whether you have a protocol or you have just a DAO. Yeah, so I believe that we have been doing a good job in building the best quality governance system out there, and with DoraVolta, we like anyone who wants to spin up a Macy run can do so within minutes. So so right now, from our team, we are very much focused on delivering these infrastructures. So one of the problems we're currently addressing is to build a new version of Macy called anonymous Macy. So the problem came from the um, the um, um, the the trust assumption of Macy, because in Macy, as I described, the operator has to be trusted in some way, because the operator actually sees all the votes for real, right? So so this is the biggest constraint of the original Macy framework. If the operator was corrupt, then the whole purpose of Macy would collapse. So we started to develop anonymous Macy last year, and in the new protocol, users can deactivate their keys, their Macy voting keys, and register new keys without telling the operator which keys they registered. So if there are enough people switching their Macy keys, the operator doesn't have to be trusted, because the operator doesn't necessarily know who voted for what in the end. Although the operator does see of the votes, but she will totally be confused. So we upgraded the protocol, and we tested in some in-person events, like East Vietnam of this year, and we will be very soon deploying anonymous Macy to DoraVolta, and hopefully we will be able to make it useful to the Cosmos community pretty soon. But in general, we're very excited about anonymous Macy because of a few reasons. First, it's just interesting in its own stake, right? The cryptography, the process that you implement, the protocol, how you engineer it, is just super exciting on its own right. And then it's a trustless protocol. So it really removed the need to trust the operator in the original Macy framework. So I would say this is pretty rare. Although we have like thousands of tokens and protocols out there, the truly decentralized and trustless protocols are rare, and anonymous Macy is one of these kind of protocols. And And then because of that, Anonymous may say, will open the door for a lot of decentralized governance use cases, and it will have brand new token economics and a new form of products. So those are those are the reasons why we're super excited about what we're building. But imagine that like more people can come up with other interesting protocols. I would say the future of decentralized governance would be very bright, and with effective and efficient decentralized governance, we will be able to achieve a lot of the goals, including like many more protocols, many more decentralized communities, network states, and the new formal products. So very exciting about that.
Yeah, that is the goal. And you guys are at the convergence of pushing forward cryptography, as well as pushing forward open source and public goods, which I think is a very noble and innovative venture and achievement. So congrats on all the great success so far. Very cool to have participated in this program myself. And now, opening up the floodgates, hopefully, so that we can get more participants funded and more protocols going through the program. And thank you so much for coming on the show, Eric, and talking with me about quadratic funding and public goods. It's been a lot of fun, and this has been great. Thank you.
Thank you, Robbie.